We now return to Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Policy Institute, the radio show discussing the honest truth about Illinois policy and politics. Here's AM 560's Dan Proft.
Dan Proft back with John Tillman, President and CEO of the Illinois Policy Institute, illinoispolicy.org. And John, back in 2014, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled in Harris v. Quinn that the Service Employees Union, SEIU, could not force home health care givers to pay money to SEIU, to the union, as a condition of receiving the stipend they receive from the state to care for their disabled children. That's what this was really about.
Their family member.
Right. Yeah. That they didn't need representation against their children.
They don't need a union to come in and help them regulate how they take care of a family member. Interesting thought.
Yes. And you would think, well, boy, that's a real rebuke, so that will change how SEIU operates in the state of Illinois. And if you think that, you'd be wrong. Because SEIU is still trying to get through the back door and the side door what it has been unable to get through the front door. And for a discussion on that topic, we're happy to be joined by Joanne Kosurek, who, along with her husband, care for their adult daughter who has 2 severe genetic disorders, and she's a participant in the state's program that provides a stipend for home health caregivers that care for their children.
Let's be clear about why that is. It's a much more loving way to take care of somebody, and it's a much less expensive way to have the individual in the home with a loving family. And so the stipend is there to, instead of putting somebody in an institution, which is much more expensive. So it's a common sense, fiscally responsible and compassionate program.
Well, right, and it's the rare case where the state actually aligns its interests with the interests of families.
Precisely.
Because, of course, who's most well-positioned to care for one's child? Mom and dad. Right. Joanne, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
So what's going on with SEIU now? I thought after the Supreme Court decision that your families and other families similarly situated would kind of be left alone to go about their business, care for their children, and not be interfered with by SEIU anymore.
It's been a real interesting challenge, especially with much of what the union has been fighting for and previously won or hoping to win, and the impact that it has directly on families. I actually calculated out our daughter's hours of service based from when she started in the program, when she turned 21. She's now 30. With the pay raises that have already been won over that course of time, her level of care has markedly decreased. Her budget is fixed. It has never been increased. When she entered the program, we divided the budget she was allocated to cover 208 RN nursing hours per month. She currently has 173, so a loss of 35 RN hours per month. And she initially had 330 personal assistant hours of care per month. She now has 236, or a loss of 67 hours of care per month.
But Joe, is this a function of how the state's program works, or is this a function of SEIU's involvement in some material way?
It's a kind of a combination of both, but primarily the union that has fought for multiple raises for staff, because the patient's budget has never changed.
Joanne, are you saying that because they fought for all these raises for the SEIU members who are paid staff, that money is being redirected out of the programs that benefit your daughter and shifted to salaried government employees who are unionized SEIU members? Is that your point?
My point is, however, they're fighting for hours. The clients' budgets have never increased. So every time they fight for raises, the clients actually lose hours of home care services.
Yeah, it sounds like it's being redirected.
And now there's legislation in Springfield that would mandate that at-home caregivers like yourself and your husband attend in-person training sessions once a year. And this would potentially be an opportunity for SEIU to make another pitch to families like yours.
Exactly. And with even those training programs, I cannot understand several things. Number one, why they cannot be offered online. Many institutions across the United States that offer medical care or home care provide that service online so the caregivers can do it at their convenience.
It's very difficult for them to trick people into signing union authorizing cards online. That's why they want you in a classroom, is so that they can, within the framework of training, they want to make a union presentation, and they've been very successful when they do this at getting some people to sign up who may not otherwise have signed up. Because it really is all about the money at some point. They want to skim money out of the money that should be going to take care of your daughter.
I can fully understand and appreciate that being the case. We've attended one mandatory training program, and a minimum of a half hour of that training time was spent encouraging all of those in attendance to join the union, how much they were doing for us.
And we're talking to Joanne Kosurek. She and her husband care for their adult daughter who has 2 severe genetic disorders. Her family is a participant in the state program that provides a stipend to at-home caregivers to care for their disabled children and disabled adults, too, I should add. You talked, Joanne, about SEIU making a pitch at one of these required training sessions that you are to attend in order to continue participating in the program. What was SEIU's pitch to you?
The pitch was explaining to us how very important it was for us to join the union because of everything they were doing to better our ability to care for our daughter, to better their ability to fight for benefits and increased wages on behalf of the individuals working in home care.
And your perspective, as we were saying before, just to reiterate, but it's an important point that deserves repetition. You, probably like most parents, would rather see more money devoted to the care for your daughter, and rather than seeing your stipend increase. And SEIU has exactly the opposite priority. So it seems like SEIU is aligned against the interests of the families they're purporting to say they would fight for if they were members.
Exactly. And I've actually discussed it with SEIU several different times when they've called our home, asking us to join the union, asking us to support their fight for additional education, additional benefits, additional salary. And my contention has been that does not benefit our daughter or us because it takes away from her care.
How do they react to that, Joanne, when you give them that dose of reality? Are they empathetic? Do they listen and say, oh, gosh, didn't realize that?
No, that is not typically the response.
I'm so surprised.
At times they will say, yes, we understand it can be hard, but that's part of why we fight for what they need. Yet our daughter has been in the program almost 10 years. And never once have I seen anything come through from the union stating that we're fighting to increase the hourly budgets allocated per individual to maintain and or increase the level of care they receive at home, when in fact every time they fought for an increase, we've lost many, many, many hours of care and service for our young adult daughter.
That is the voice of Joanne Kosurek. She and her husband care for their adult daughter who has 2 severe genetic disorders, one of thousands of Illinois families similarly situated with children or young adults that have disabilities and participate in what is a successful program that the state operates, so long as SEIU doesn't get its clutches on it. Joanne, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.